Good morning and welcome to episode 9 of the Bob and Kevin Show. It's Monday, January 29th. Let's do this. On today's episodes, we'll do rapid fire headlines. We're going to call it on the clock, I think now, and our internet famous YouTube quiz. Hey, good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Good morning, Bob. And let me bring down the house music here so people can hear us. And yes, happy Monday, hashtag Monday Motivation. Make sure if you guys are on the social medias, include our show if you would. And we're also going to start the show early with our appeal for subscribing to the show. Bob, tell us why, or tell everyone why they should be subscribing.
Well, everyone should subscribe because it helps us keep a better idea on what you, our visitors, are doing. So we'll know when people drop off and things like that, so we can modify our content. Another reason to subscribe is if you click the bell icon, you'll get notified when we go live for a situation just like this.
Awesome. And Bob, yes, we are starting a new segment this week. And before we get into it, and I can get it queued up here, can you tell everyone kind of how it's going to work?
It's just like the rapid headlines that we did last week. So we're going to talk about some headlines that have been in the news over the past week, but we're going to put ourselves on the clock. So basically we'll have a 90-second countdown clock that shows on the internet window overlay from that scene. What do we call that scene?
I call it the composite view, but I don't think people care about the show jargon.
So we add a new feature to that. We actually live coded this feature earlier this weekend. So if you're interested in checking that out, head on over to our bonus content playlist, and it's going to be the most recent item in there.
All right, Bob, are you ready to do this?
I think we should go ahead and hit it now.
All right, we're on the clock. And the first article that or headline that we're going to be looking into here is the Intel promises a chip fix, and they see no financial impact from Spectre and Meltdown. So essentially, it was a shoulder shrug to Intel, it seems. And oh, by the way, I guess we'll do something about it. What do you think, Bob?
Crazy thing is we're still seeing this in the news almost every day. So the patches that came out, whatever the case may be, apparently everything is not hunky-dory in the chip manufacturing world. So it's just interesting to see how long this story is going to keep recycling and really how long it's going to take to get stable chips that aren't impacted by this flaw.
And it's kind of interesting that financially that there was no impact. And I've read a lot of stories that Intel's like, this is not our problem. This is not our fault. Even though they are doing a hardware fix, I think they still kind of point over the fence a little bit to everyone on the software side. So this is a bit of an interesting thing. I'm not sure if AMD or any other chip manufacturers, saw any financial impacts or whatnot, but it is still
would they see one yet? Because orders were already placed, manufacturing pipelines are already in place. So it's like, I wouldn't expect, any lag at all. Maybe people will be hesitant on their next orders if the chips aren't available, but who knows?
Yep. And we're going to transition to the next topic here. And this is a very interesting commercial here from Burger King. Burger King basically had a pun on net neutrality, and they call it Whopper Neutrality. And if you haven't seen this, we'll have a link to this episode here. They basically do a frustrating example of how net neutrality would work in the real world and other industries. And this is just gosh darn hilarious. Bob, have you seen this?
I did. I saw it when it came out. Just interesting that they would take ad dollars and risk, trying to describe a pretty complex topic. But I think they did it really well in terms of the burger. Made a lot of sense. Yeah, the burger's ready, but we can't quite deliver it to you just yet because you paid for the B lane, which requires me to deliver it 40 seconds from now.
I think my favorite part is when the guy gives the customer the bag, but he takes the burger out of it, and he's like, well, I can't put it in here for another, and he looks at his watch for a few seconds.
Right. Here's all the equipment you need. Yes, the burger's ready and available, but I cannot deliver it to you per the terms of the agreement.
Yeah, and the frustration that these people are exhibiting seems legitimate. Like Burger King actually pissed off these people, so I thought it was amazingly funny.
There's also a lot of cool subtle signage around about pricing, and you can get Wi-Fi in the store for $6.95 or something.
Time's up, Bob. So we need like a buzzer or a shock therapy. Okay, so CoinCheck They got hacked over the weekend, it seems, and they lost, just a few bucks, $534 million. And CoinCheck seems to be the largest crypto exchange in Japan, and kind of a allegory to that. Well, not kind of, yes, an allegory to that. They've decided that they're going to refund a lot of money. In fact, I'm not sure how much. I think I read 90%, 80%, something like that. You won't get all your money back. But this does raise questions on the security of the crypto exchanges, because Mt. Gox famously had, I think it was 800,000 Bitcoins stolen last year, and that kind of put them out of business. So what do you think, Bob?
So the blockchain is solid, but the technologies for people to purchase, so just like any other e-commerce vulnerability, I would imagine, is that what we're talking about here? So the site got hacked, data was taken from one user and basically given to other users, and that data just happened to be cryptocurrency.
Yeah, so they basically transferred, they meaning the hackers transferred the stuff to an address, so it's a little bit traceable, and they're optimistic that they'll get some of it back. But yeah, it's just, blockchain, you said it right, blockchain's looking good, but securing the exchanges, not so much.
Ooh, that was a quick one for that topic, but here we go. On to Apple, right?
Yes, Apple, the iPhone battery, the slowdown is to be optional. So you now have an option to do something that they probably should have done from day one.
So wait, so in the settings now, is there going to be a slider that says slow down my phone, and it's just going to be a toggle? I mean,
yeah. It's going to be an interesting thing, because the way I would do it, the cynical Android Kevin user would be like, slide, a little slider that says, slide this because we have crappy batteries, and this will help prolong it so we don't actually have to replace your battery switch. But that's a little verbose. And then in the same vein of Kevin being snarky towards Apple, and yes, I pick sides. Sorry, I'm an Android guy. The iPhone X apparently won't see its first birthday. Of course, a lot of flame war going on this one, because gee, shocker, people don't want to spend so much for a phone. Gosh.
Yeah, I would have totally taken the under on that one. I wasn't even a twinkle in my eye to pick up this device. It's pointless.
Yeah, so
sorry, people who own one, it's pointless.
So apparently Apple, of course, this is a lot of rumor and speculation. Who knows how much is fact here, but a lot of people are saying that rather than discount it, Apple would rather cut its nose off to spite its face and just bury this rather than actually give a discount. So.
Apple hasn't had very many fails, but I think we'll be talking about one potential one in just about 4 seconds here.
Ooh, good segue, Bob. And that might be the HomePod, which is almost feels like Microsoft, when they introduced Bing and the Zune. It's like, ooh, me too, me too. So, well, here's Apple's foray into the home gadget device. Bob, you're an Alexa person. I'm an Alexa person. Is this going to be in your inventory?
No way. The price tag is way too high. I already own a bunch of Sonos devices as well. I feel like they're trying to bite way more off than they can chew, and it's probably why they're the last one into the game with this device. It seems high-end priced. I'm sure it's beautiful from a hardware perspective, and I'm sure it sounds amazing, but Sonos already has a Sonos One, and it's cheaper than that.
So $349 US dollars here, and it isn't available until February 9th, I read somewhere. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to be jumping on this. And again, it's vendor war, but it's also ecosystem war. I'm already in the Amazon ecosystem. And hey, can I just point this out real quick, that Apple is just too hip for me. Available starting 2.9 up here at the top. I guess I'm smart enough to know, I guess that's February 9th, but come on, guys. And it's not the dot notation, but give me a year, give me something, because otherwise this looks very, I don't know, a decimal.
Do we know if that switches based on your national location?
I don't know. We'll have to
localization?
We'll have to have our massive audience tell us. So I'm going to pull an audible here real quick, because we talked about HomePod way more than I thought we would.
Right.
Turns out that iOS 11.3 beta revealed that there is something called the modern iPad that's lurking out there. So, yes. So is this? We didn't mean to talk in great depth about this, but I'm actually on the iPad Pro market myself, so I don't know if this competes with this, because honestly, this means, oh man, should I wait? Because now, what is this?
So you're in the market for an iPad Pro because we had David Neal on last week, right?
Yes, David, you should set up an affiliate link somewhere just in case, on the odd chance that I might buy something sometime.
Well,
And
I think Matt went out and got one too because he started doing doodles already. So it's just great to see that an episode. And if you haven't watched this one, I think this is also in we created a playlist channel for midweek. So if you go and subscribe and check out the YouTube channel, you will see the midweek content and our first interview with David Neal. He's an illustrator, all around great dude, epic beard, Microsoft MVP. Guy's just everything. He is an MVP, correct?
yes, he is.
Yeah. So check out that, and you'll see a little bit more about the iPad Pro. I just can't believe they're calling it modern because it's got face recognition. So we didn't really want to spend 90 seconds on this, so figured might as well promote David's episode.
All right, so Facebook wants to again kind of do the Me Too technology thing, and I was poor. Not Me Too hashtag. Me Too as in late to the party on stuff here. So Facebook wants to attract live stream gamers like Twitch is just dominating on. I would say YouTube's probably a close second, and then Facebook is trying to get in there as well. So much so they're willing to help give you tools, and I believe they're going to be offering the big guns some actual cash to come on over. What do you think, Bob?
It's just interesting that they start with the gamers here with Facebook, and it maybe is the Facebook content provider ecosystem deep enough with shows like ours, for instance, or are they really just wanting to go for the large basket with the gamers? I know that OBS will stream to Facebook, so the tooling's pretty much already in place.
Gosh, we're just full of self promotion here, because this is the part where I say, you know what is OBS? OBS is the open broadcaster software, and we have some like walkthroughs of how we use OBS, and we totally recommend it. It's open source. It's my new project that I love to play with. So yeah, why can't we be wooed over with our massive following? But who knows?
Not that we would give up this fat YouTube cash for anything. So
yes. In fact, well, more on that later, maybe. Okay.
Yes.
Next here we've got Jeff Bezos, or Bezos. Help me out. But how do we say it?
I say Bezos, but that might not be correct.
So apparently this is the teaser of what the Super Bowl ad may look like, and the shtick, so to speak, and we'll have a link to this, is Amazon or Alexa has lost her voice, and they kind of create a little tease here. So there's been speculation that maybe this means that Alexa can finally have a switchable voice, because right now it's Alexa. There's no male version. I think Alexa is a feminine voice. There's no British version, because I've heard the British version of some of the other services.
Yep, Siri's got one. So yeah, it would be interesting. I mean, it seems like that's what they're teasing. If they're not teasing, it'll be, a great plot twist to find out what it is that they're teasing. But I think when they say she's losing her voice, that must mean that we can give her a break and pick some other options.
Bob, who you got in the Super Bowl?
I think it's going to be the Patriots. They won last year. There's no way they should have won last year.
There's no way they should have won last year. But you know what? And Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback ever, but I don't have to be complicit in it. And so go Eagles. Go Philly.
I'm getting the vibe that the commercials might be the big winners, though. So we'll see.
Yeah, more to follow. If there's anything tech related there, you'll know where to find them the Monday after. All right, a bit of a security thing, and this is kind of near and dear to my heart. So Strava, it's a fitness tracker. They decided, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we showed a heat map of where people are actually running and things like that? Well, the law of unintended consequences has come knocking, because it reveals secret military bases, especially for the United States. Now, you may be
wait. We have secret military bases within the United States?
Okay. Let me back up. Secret military bases run by the United States. So imagine U.S. soldiers in Syria.
So this is global, not just here. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
So imagine somebody. We know where Fort Benning is. We know where Fort Bragg is. We know where Joint Base McChord is. So do all the allies, and not so. I guess we'll call them frenemies. So the thing is in Syria, or Afghanistan, for instance, you know, the kind of remote bases and things like that, those locations are revealed. Now, big state governments already kind of know this, but we'll have more on this in a little bit on kind of ooh, yeah, that's not so good. So go ahead, Bob.
I'm just baffled because, I mean, so you're at this remote sort of secret location and you go out for a jog and you turn on your Strava app. Is that how that works?
Yep. It's got a GPS tracker with it.
All right. Well, I'm actually a Strava user, so we'll talk about this more too.
All right. I just pushed the shock button because you spent an extra second over. Okay, and now I just wasted 10. So
I yield my time to the fine man from Columbia, Indiana.
Columbia City. Get it right.
Columbia City, sorry.
All right, we've just burned 30 seconds. Okay, hackers hijack Google DoubleClick ads. Not good.
Bad hackers.
Because, you know, the DoubleClick is a big deal, and Google bought them a few years back. And basically,
they're the largest ad network, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the implication here is that guess what you can do now? You can crypto mine through JavaScript and hijack somebody's browser. So remember this whole distributed processing thing? Well, now somebody can just inject some code onto your site. And in fact, it wasn't just DoubleClick, who's owned by Google. It was also YouTube, also owned by Google. So as you can imagine, not so good.
Luckily, we are not monetized, so ads don't come up before our show. So everyone who watches, you're safe.
Yes. So far, unless you click on somebody's suggested video. But yeah, not cool. Turns out Opera has moved to already block these. And then also breaking news, somebody's using Opera. So, all right, that was our edition of...
Oh, my goodness.
The headlines, and holy cow. And now I'm struggling to get us off that screen. Okay. And so...
I need to take a breath. Hang on.
Woo!
Oh.
All right. Well, Bob, you better get your breath in here, because do you know what time it is?
Oh, we're going right from rapid fire to the quiz.
All right.
Quiz time. It's quiz time.
And the topic is Groundhog Day.
The movie?
You'll find out in a moment.
Oh, it's everything Groundhog Day. Okay.
How are you feeling about the topic so far?
I'm not completely frightened.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Punxsutawney Phil for 500, please.
You know, that almost became an answer, but it wasn't. You came hard last week at me, and I'm going to return the favor.
With my Hawaii trivia? Come on.
Yes, with the Hawaii trivia as nicely as I can. So, Bob, are you ready?
I am ready.
Groundhog Day is celebrated on February the 2nd. So here in a few days in the United States. But it's also celebrated in 2 other countries. What are those 2 countries?
I'm going to go with Great Britain and Germany.
You know what? You got one of the 2. So I'll go ahead and say, you know what? We'll get the other one is Canada. So it's Canada. And Germany.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, so Germany was the other one. Okay.
Yes.
Germany was my wild card.
Gotcha. So in the movie Groundhog Day, Phil, who's played by Bill Murray's character, was awoken each morning at 6 a.m. But what song was on the radio?
Good Day Sunshine?
Not so much. And since you can't hear this, I'll have to tell you, of course, everyone at home can hear this. This is Sonny and Cher's I got you, babe. Right. There's Phil, and we had to go through many, many loops there. Interesting, when I was doing show trivia research, there's a massive amount of threads, including on like the Stack Overflows and stuff, or for movies or whatever it's called. How many years, and this isn't a question, but how many years was Phil stuck in the time loop? And I don't know if there's a definitive, but Harold Ramis, who made the movie, said, and do you want to guess what Harold Ramis suggested?
No, I have no idea. I didn't even think it was that long.
Suggested that he was stuck for 10 years. And some nerd went out there and counted, and he like calculated to the day. It's like 8 years, so many months, and so many days. And then, of course, that explodes into people are like, no, it's 40 years. So apparently that's a side thing That's a thing. So if
The
you want to,
internet is just a crazy, dangerous place.
that's right. Now, the third and final question. So right now you're 1 for 2 ish.
Ish.
Ish. What year was the movie Groundhog Day released?
Oh, what year was it released?
Yes. And while you're toiling over that, I'll share this with everyone here.
Phil?
And this is Ned
Phil?
Ryerson
Hey, Phil Connors,
with
man.
Phil Connors. All right, Bob. We need a year.
I'm gonna go with 1993.
You got it. Did you Google it?
No, I didn't. I swear. Oh, I could have though when you switched over. I didn't even think of that.
Totally could have gamed the system. All right. Dang you. Okay. All right. So right now,
Apparently, that did not go as well as Kevin had hoped.
no, I was hoping to see you squirm more in the chair. Okay, Bob. Let's come back to a topic real quick here, and it is the Burger King one here. So let's go ahead and switch screens here, and let's talk a little bit more. So we saw this whole video like over the weekend, right? So
Right.
do you think people are actually understanding net neutrality? People meaning the layperson, people who are not involved in tech.
Well, I think the thing that I did like about this commercial is the way that Burger King kind of set it up. So, it was very man on the street, I guess, person on the street interview style. And, you could tell they were asking people about net neutrality, and it was fuzzy at best for most people.
Yeah.
That they interviewed. So I think it is. I think it's a very elusive concept. And I would say that, what are we, 30 days, 45 days past that now at this point? I feel like not much has changed, but there's always that looming, like, what is, like, when's the other shoe going to drop?
Well, there's been reports that AT&T CEO came out and said, guys, we're going to protect you, the consumer. And of course, they've offered zero concrete how we're going to do that.
We're going to protect you by raising prices.
That's right. We're going to, the guy right here in the sweatshirt, I love how that looks like legitimate
he just steals
anger. And then they get him outside. We're like, okay, all right, don't punch anyone, dude. Really. This is just a shtick. But I thought it was an excellent thing. But trying to explain net neutrality to like my wife, and just who's like, she's a casual internet user. She's just not into all the ins and outs like you are. She doesn't have her own Monday morning motivation tech show, and she just wants her internet. And so if somebody were to like suddenly slow down Facebook specifically, that would, get her attention. Though I did also see, and I think it was also AT&T that suggested that, net neutrality shouldn't just apply to internet providers, it should apply to content providers too. Meaning, does Facebook, YouTube, and whatnot throttle, even Netflix, throttle based on something? So I don't know if it happens now, and it certainly could, but Netflix could say, you know what, Bob, you're watching a lot of Black Mirror, and we're gonna need
I did this weekend.
we're gonna need to slow you down. Now, I think Netflix has like completely solved scalability, so I'm not personally worried about that. But do you see content providers having to be also kind of lumped into net neutrality somehow?
Well, I think it's all going to depend on, it's going to come from upstream. So if there are, if there are throttlings, if there are lanes, if there are restrictions that come from, the providers, the ISPs, then all that stuff is going to trickle down, and content providers are going to be part of that as well.
Okay. So, yeah, it just still blows my mind. I still think we're on course for a Supreme Court showdown.
Well, they're definitely already in the works. There's people ready to go to battle.
Yes. All right. Any final words on this particular topic?
Just the last thing, it just still frustrates me this day, the way that legislation and these things are like named. Like if someone came to me and said, we're going to repeal net neutrality, because, just on its surface, that doesn't necessarily sound like a bad thing. Like, because maybe the upside is net awesomeness.
You're right. So yeah. So should we keep an open mind to, hey, wait a second, guys, you're stifling innovation on their side, and that's
I
possible.
can't go that full libertarian view. I mean, I do like that. I do like that there's some things that should be regulated, should be monitored, maintained, and not the wild, wild west. I mean, we're evolved.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's switch to a topic that's a little more near and dear to me. So, full disclosure here, I was in the military for a period of time, and I used to get yelled at for using MySpace in the war zone, but it wasn't just me. It was because we all had MySpace. Yes, I'm saying MySpace. This is pre-Facebook. Actually, it was during the Facebook time where you had to have a .edu email address to sign up for Facebook because it was a college-only thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, so old school. So the reason is something that the military calls operational security, or OPSEC for short. Basically, don't give away movements of troops or anything that can be used against us. Now, there's some ubiquitous things about the military. Yes, we have bases. Yes, we probably know where they are. But ship movements, you know, the old saying is loose lips sink ships. So from a ground troop perspective, or even a plane, you know, it's kind of a similar thing. You don't really want to give the enemy any sort of idea of where, let's say, soldiers are congregating, the chow hall, where they sleep, things like that. So Strava, in their wisdom of trying to do more, has actually had an unintended consequence by having these heat maps, and it shows, if I'm a bad guy, and that's the Pentagon in the middle there, if you can't tell, if I'm a bad guy and I want to set up a roadside bomb or something like that, I've got a good idea where I can get some soft targets. So this is a bit disturbing from that perspective. And then the allegory to that is Strava doing this in an anonymous way? So if I have one of these wristbands and I'm running around and I'm in the military, does it know that it's Kevin running around, or is it Joe Snuffy, or as we say in the military? Because if it's high value target General X, high value target from their perspective, now I have a way to track them, and my way to get to the general or some high value target isn't by hacking DoD systems. It's by going to this little upstart company over here, putting some malware on there, and just pulling data. Because when you get hacked, what's the best kind of hack?
Social engineering.
And it's also they have no idea I'm in your system.
Right. Well, but it's actually a little bit scarier than that, because I think as an individual user, you can set everyone has a profile that uses Strava. I'm a Strava user. So you actually probably have the option to display your own personal heat map, yes or no. And if you're not familiar with what that, if you're just not thinking about what kind of information that might reveal about your whereabouts, that's not good.
So the bigger thing is personal privacy. So again, I should get a T-shirt. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And then, so since you're a Strava user, Bob, and that's a revelation I did not know until you said that, what kind of privacy check boxes do we have or not have, I guess?
You know what? I'm a dumb user for the most part on these things, just because I go into a lot of these, any of my social media stuff like that. I don't have any expectation of privacy. I'm engaging in these activities. And I would say that, some of that is blissful ignorance, but it's also, blatant awareness as well. Like, I'm not going to get on a social media thing to lock everything down, and that loses the entire point of it for me. So, and these social exercising sites are the same exact thing. So every time I have a run, the people that I'm quote unquote friends with on Strava get notified that I just completed a run. And it's not just isolated to Strava. Runkeeper has a feature where you can go live. So you get live data. And I think Strava has the same thing now too. You can see a live map on where you're running.
So you have children who are old enough to use this technology. So do I.
Yes.
If they were to go live and go on a remote run, would you be worried about the stalking aspect of it? And, like somebody can track somebody's exact location and ambush them for, yes, I'm using military terms, ambush them for lack of a better term.
No, we should be worried. You know, a lot of times do I take that pause and let that worry come in? No, I just kind of brush it off. But, you know, it's one of those situations where you'd hate to be sitting there by yourself saying, I should have known better. So, I don't really appreciate, appreciate's not the right word, but I hate it when those little inconsistencies in my approach get pointed out.
So the military has gone a step here and have banned use of Strava in certain locations. And
so is it just Strava? Because like I said, there's so many apps out there that do the same exact thing.
No, it's not. And the irony of this is there's probably some sort of general order in the military, like General Order 1 in when I got to Iraq was no pornography, no alcohol in the country. As a side thing, women can also not show their belly button. American soldiers, females cannot show their belly button in Iraq. Just weird. So just how it works. So the military owns you. And so when they say you can't use things with GPS, that's actually nothing new. What's new is probably that this is just yet another thing that kind of slipped through the dragnet. And I can already hear senior NCOs and junior officers yelling at soldiers to turn that shit off, for lack of better terms. Yeah, operational security is a big deal. It's definitely applying to the military, but it also has that kind of at home thing too. Wait a second, somebody could actually be tracking me. Now, of course, I'm not important enough to be tracked, but there's plenty of probably people out there surfing the dark web that if this information ever gets on the dark web and I can see that, Bob, here's your daily pattern of how you are, maybe I can then actually rob you because I know you go to the ATM, during your run or something. I'm just totally inventing scenarios at this point.
No, I sometimes play bad guy in my head too, so I get it.
Yeah, I'm that guy. Just so you know, I'm the doomsday guy. Okay, Bob, let's go positive. Tell us why people should be subscribing to the show.
So if that segment totally piqued your interest, you should hit the subscribe button. I think it's in in that corner.
Yep.
Hit the subscribe button. And if you want to get notified when we go live, make sure to ding that bell. So there's a subscribe button and then there's a bell right next to it. It just helps us help you to know when we're going live. And we're actually planning on going live during the weeks as well. So we've got the Monday show, which is always going to stay, and be on the lookout for just little bits of randomness during the week as well.
All right. Awkward transition. So
speaking of randomness, let's talk about Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective, I think we found a new floor or a new average for some of these, Bob, right? So I think you predicted these.
I did. It was knee jerk, but I mean, it seemed like it was a pretty safe bet at the time. Bitcoin, I think we both actually made some money yesterday. We'll see if it gives it all back today.
And so the new norm seems to be around 11,000. So since the big dip here on, is it the 17th? It's kind of flattened out at about 11,000. And pardon me if I just skip Bitcoin Cash. I don't think we do much with Bitcoin Cash. Ethereum has bucked the trend a little bit. It is ticking upwards, but its new norms are right around 1,000. Then Litecoin's been most disappointing, I think, for both of us because after it peaked, it bottomed out, gave us a little bit of teaser there, and then now the new floor seems to be right around 175.
Yeah, I really thought it was going to be 200, but yeah, it really has kind of normalized at 175. So we've seen conflicting articles that say, hey, guess what? Bitcoin's going to hit the 25K this year. And then we've seen others that say, hold on to your boots. It's going to go down to 1,000 this year. So it's anybody's guess. We're just winding up the first month. And other than that I guess this was the craziest month for Bitcoin going down in a while. So hopefully we'll have some steady seas for the next couple months.
And because we want to be a part of your repetitive every Monday, here is Groundhog Day again with Bill Murray. And again, we want you to like and subscribe to the show. And Bob, I think you've got a special phrase that you want to utter for us here.
It's time to bring the lightning.